Hi, this is Stover, the barbecue hunk. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Have a hunky day.
Start the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh, should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Good evening and welcome to the Really Big Barbecue Central Show, a show that talks about the world of live fire barbecue and grilling, originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I am your program host, Greg Rippey. Happy to have you right here on this show. We are live. If you want to jump in on the show tonight, send me an email, phone call, a mixture of both and or neither. Here's how you do it.
You can get in touch with the show by calling 216-220-0966. Email Greg at the BBQCentralShow.com. On the Twitter and Instagrams at BBQ Central Show.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening. And boy, is this one of my favorite shows ever, potentially locking and loading as we speak. Coming up in about 12 minutes from now, I am a huge fan of burgers, hamburgers mostly, but every once in a while, like a lamb burger or a pork burger or a sausage burger, but mostly hamburgers I am a huge fan of. I share that love of burgerage with my eldest daughter, Bobby, who is currently at Seton Hall University. Shout out to the Griffins on the volleyball team. Hey, everybody. Good luck this coming weekend. I'll be in attendance, and yes, I will sign autographs again for everybody that is interested. Nevertheless, we have a unbridled passion for eating hamburgers in every form or fashion. And like a lot of things, not a lot, a few things. For me, it's pizza and burgers. Even the worst burger is still a pretty good burger. Even the worst pizza is still pretty good pizza. And the best burgers and or the best pizza typically means there's going to be multiples just getting crammed down your throat. And I have been chasing my guest in about 12 minutes from now for the last number of weeks, probably stretching into a month or so, and he is widely considered. Although my daughter Bobby will argue that he is the country's foremost authority when it comes to hamburgers. You might know him from his work on books about hamburgers and films about hamburgers. There's other things that I cannot confirm at this point that are about hamburgers that I will ask him about when I get him on the horn here in a few minutes. That, of course, is burger expert John Motz, first timer. Very excited. Very excited. So we'll be talking to George about a host of burger items, and we are going to get into the minutia. I mean, you know about this show. Sometimes we keep it high level. Sometimes we really like to dig down. It's a mixture of both. Other times it will be burger minutia. So if you're not into burgers, tune the F out in about 11 minutes from now. That's all I can say. Then we will move to the second hour. It is the fourth Tuesday of the month, and you know what that means. People from Michigan, Texas, Oklahoma, Tennessee, and the Pacific Northwest, no specific region given other than Pacific Northwest. The Embedded Correspondents segment will refire, and it is a absolute barn burner for the Embedded Correspondents segment because we will be naming our 2019 Barbecue Central Show Guest Hall of Fame class. We inducted the inaugural Barbecue Central Show Guest Hall of Famers last year in 2018. There were sections or categories. Once we got that first class in, and there were a number of them, that can be also be found on the website. That initial class of 2018, we change it all up. 2019 and going forward, five total people will be making it in ongoing in no form or fashion other than here's the criteria. It's not that hard. I mean, it's hard initially because you have to get on the show and be interviewed. That's your Barbecue Hall of Fame criteria. You have to have showed up on the show as a guest since the inception. There's no time rules other than you have to have done a guest spot at some point on the show. And it can stretch all the way back to 2007 or 8 when we started the live shows, all the way up until as late as a week ago. That's all you have to do. Very easy to get in the pool of potential Hall of Fame nominees. We have 4 locked in. We will argue 1 to make it 5, and then we will announce officially the class of 2019, the Barbecue Central Show Guest Hall of Fame. As time allows, we will then get into the national controversy, which is the Arby's Smokehouse Brisket Sandwich and the Subway Naturally Pit-Smoked Brisket Sandwich. Compare, contrast, rate, review, and pick a winner. Wowee. This is a huge show. 216-220-0966. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. Don't forget you can follow me socially at BBQ Central Show on Instagram and Twitter, /BBQ Central Show on the Facebooks. And that's where you can also find a live video feed as well. All right, this past weekend, not only was there volleyball to be had, but Saturday all day, as I had been promoting for the last couple months, the 2019 Hartville Hardware Grill Fest. Yes. Thanks to Caitlin, Catherine, Steve, the rest of the crew at Hartville Hardware. This year, by far, the most successful to date. The weather was incredible. The general public turned out. The Centralites turned out. I'm not sure how, from a weather and crowd standpoint, it could have gotten any better than what Saturday brought forth. And thanks for having me as the MC and host of the day. Completely my pleasure. And assuming the schedules line up for next year, I would just like to toss my hat in and say, let's do it again for 2020, baby. Let's get it on. Let's get it on. Lots of great buys and packages, or grills and cooker brands all there at the store. Great deals going on. There was a spare rib cooking contest. Weber grills, Weber gas grills versus Big Green Egg versus Traeger. There were live cooking demos under the main tent area. There was my witty and engaging rapier banter to keep things moving. I held pop-up quiz-style trivia games, the winner getting specially donated prizes from Hartville Hardware. At the end of the day, while we were all waiting for the scores to get tabulated on the ribs contest side, I engaged the crowd by guerrilla interviewing cooks who competed on the 3 different styles of cookers. And let me tell you, some of these dudes were having none of it when it came to giving out info. I mean, can you believe that? We are literally in the middle of nowhere, Hartville, Ohio, and they are buttoned up and tight-lipped. Do you think this is the American Royal? You don't want to tell me what rub you're using or what temperature you're running your pit at? Spill it, geek. We want to know. We deserve it. We've been here all day. Anyway, we got our winners for each cooker, and the gent cooking on the Traeger took overall best-in-class title, so we congratulate him. And throughout the day, I got to meet some fans of the show, which for me is great. Some of you guys were like, hey, I just came out to see you for a couple minutes. Other folks were getting to see me, but they were also cooking or taking part in the ribs contest. And, that's just great. Aaron from Go Big or Go Barbecue was competing. He gave me some of his new rub and sauce to try out, which I'll be doing shortly, hopefully. Jeff Gray was also competing, and we chopped it up for a bit. By the way, if you're keeping score, Jeff won the Big Green Egg section of the competition. That's what we call show karma. He was in the chat room, or was it Twitter, last week going or leading into this last weekend. So Jeff Gray, a winner and a show listener. Listener Scott was also there. We talked outside for a bit. He's also one of those guys I forced into talking with me while we were waiting for the scores to be tabulated. He was cooking on a Traeger. And then, of course, the bourbon expert of Pittsburgh was also there, Scott Rittenbaugh. Hopefully, Scott, I said that last name right. Many others as well. An absolutely fantastic time. And as I'd said, the weather was incredible. The demos were 1/3 great. 2/3, no names, please. The people at Hartville Hardware are second to none, first class, and they are really ready to step it up and take 2020 to a level the likes we have never seen. So if you missed it, make sure that you're making plans for around this time next year. Start making plans already. I'm already making my plans. So come on, let's get it on. Hartville Hardware 2020. Let's hashtag it. Let's make a trend locally here in Cleveland. Make a trend in Hartville, ladies and gentlemen. All right, George Motz coming up out of the break. Great to see everybody, by the way. If I missed you and you came up and said hi or you took a picture with me, I apologize. I didn't get your name in there right there, but great to see everybody. Thank you for coming out. Green Mountain Grills. That's right. Hey, Hartville, how about carrying some Green Mountain Grills? We can add another cooker to the mix next year, huh? How about that? Green Mountain Grill, some of the best pellet cookers out there on the market today. If you are in the market for a pellet cooker, let's talk about Green Mountain Grill. Two different models to choose from. The Classic line, I have a couple of those. They also have the Prime line that was announced earlier this year. The Prime line, a little bit more of a robust chassis. You have peek-in windows on the main cooking chamber, also on the wood pellet hopper as well, so you can see where that pellet hopper is on the wood level. Not one, but two internal meat temperature probes if you want to use that. And what have I been talking to you about with these new lines, these Prime lines? 12-volt power technology. Yeah, that's right. Super efficient fans. That means your pellet consumption will go down because it's just a more efficient burning cooker. Great sizes to choose from. Jim Bowie's the biggest one. Daniel Boone, middle size. Davy Crockett is the creator of that original 12-volt technology. This is your portable one, right? So if you want to go to the Browns game this coming weekend or whatever football team that you like, or your college team, totally portable, fits in your trucks, vans, and SUVs, and if you don't have access to a traditional power outlet, you can just stick it right in the 12-volt adapter in your car. Then you have pellet-fired goodness right at your fingertips. You can hold a couple pork butts, a couple racks of ribs. It's going to be good. Hey, and at least in Cleveland, no charcoal fires anymore. Can you believe it? How about that pellet fire? Sounds pretty good right now, right? Yeah. Head on over to greenmountaingrills.com. Find out where a dealer is close to you. That's greenmountaingrills.com. You also can take a look at their pellets and their sauces and their rubs and their other accessories. Like for the middle and top line cookers, you can rip the guts out of those and put in the pizza oven insert. That's fun. $130, $140, come on. You got to get it. Green Mountain Grill, if it's your first grill, food saver, and the pizza oven insert, you're ready to rock. greenmountaingrills.com. George Motz coming up. Stick around. Be right back.
Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Hey now, this portion of the show being brought to you by Butcher Barbecue, makers of award-winning injections, marinades, rubs, seasonings, barbecue sauces, grilling oils. All of Butcher Barbecue products tested on the competition circuit as well as in the backyard worldwide. Be the pitmaster of your neighborhood and visit butcherbbq.com to stock up right now. I love Butcher Barbecue. Their grilling oils are the best. My guest in the first hour, an Emmy Award-winning filmmaker and founder of the Food Film Festival, the author of the travel guide Hamburger America, the Great American Burger Book, was hailed by the New York Times as the leading authority on hamburgers. He also hosted and produced Burgerland and hosted Made in America. We go ahead and race to the hotline and welcome first-timer to the show, George Motz. George, how are you, pal?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm absolutely fabulous, George. Appreciate you making time for the show this evening and finally getting together here. I'm very excited to have you. And let's jump right into it. Are you really ready to punch the next person in the face who blames farting cows for global warming?
Yes, because I think there's a lot of misinformation about global warming and how it relates to cows, for sure. I mean, why wouldn't I?
Is cow flatulence not participating to the decreasing of the ozone layer? I just made up a few words there, by the way.
Well, those are up made-up words, but yes, I do believe it could have a very small part. But I mean, let's be honest. I mean, how can a cow's gas have anything, up? How can it battle the emissions from an airplane or a car? I mean, come on.
I don't know, but it seems like every time I go online, and obviously, given the theme of the show here, I do a lot of research about barbecue, grilling, live fire in general. That lends itself to meat or beef in some form or fashion. And inevitably, every week, I'm seeing some new article where if it's not cow farts, it's cow burps, or they're eating something, or they're breathing harder than they were 15 years ago, and we're all in for imminent death here in the next few weeks.
Right. Well, yeah, I think the bottom line is that people, I mean, especially the media, loves to be able to use the hamburger as an example of what's killing us. At first, it was, obviously you shouldn't eat too many hamburgers to kill you, which is probably true. But now they're trying to battle this by coming at us from the angle of the farting animal, which I think is also ridiculous. And the hamburgers, they're taking cheap shots at America's favorite food because they know they're going to get a lot of mileage out of it in the media.
Absolutely. George Motz joining us here on the show. Are you also really working on a musical about hamburgers?
I've been working on a musical about hamburgers for a long time. It takes a long time. But I mean, that's still kind of a back burner thing.
Yeah. I mean, like, what's a long time? 5, 10, 20 years that you're working on this masterpiece?
I've been working on this thing for probably about 5 years. But I've had meetings. I've taken meetings with agents.
Really?
So things are definitely going to happen. Oh, yeah. But I have a feeling that my hamburger restaurant is probably going to happen before the hamburger musical, for sure.
Now, I know a lot of people within the live fire industry, and it just so happens I am a close personal friend with also another Emmy Award winner, by the way, John Marcus, who is really into the whole live play and musical thing. So if there's ever an introduction that needs to be made, or maybe you and John hang out in the Upper West Side or whatever it is, but I can make that intro if you need to.
John's a good friend of mine. We've done events together. He's a great guy. Yeah, he's a great like New York barbecue guy, which is pretty unique in a way.
All right, so you are home based out of Brooklyn, New York, correct?
Exactly. Yeah, I live in Brooklyn.
All right, so are you a born and bred New Yorker, or are you transplanted from somewhere?
I grew up on Long Island. I grew up on Long Island, Garden City, New York, which is not the most exciting town in the world, and I was excited to get the hell out of there, honestly. But I've done nothing but travel my entire life after leaving Garden City, for sure.
So as we kind of roll back here, I don't want to just assume everybody knows how cool you are and that you're the foremost burger authority, but a young George Motz, is a passion for burgers developing within you, as a youth that you can remember? Is it something that the family ate a lot of and you just kind of took a shine to it, or how does the passion for burger develop otherwise?
I just growing up on Long Island, which was, it was a bit singular. It wasn't the most exciting place to grow up, especially where I grew up. And for me, I think I dreamed about what it was like in the rest of the country. And I'm one of the only people I know who got out of Garden City and actually went and explored America. And I did it in a way that I was exploring, like, the foreign countries, like exploring India and Africa. I really took it very, very seriously. And I made a point to see every single state in the United States before I saw anything else in the world. And I did. I at this point, I've gotten to 48 states, 50 states. I actually went to 47 of those before I even went on foreign shores.
So what are the two that are remaining?
Still remaining states. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm actually only down to, there's still two. No, there's one. It's just Alaska. It's the only one I haven't been to.
Yeah.
I think I conquered North Dakota about 2 years ago. I forgot about this. So I'm actually at 49 right now.
All right, 49 of the 50 U.S. states George has been through. So, I mean, do you have a favorite one, or is that like a favorite kid type of question?
That's definitely a favorite kid kind of question, because I see so much great in America. I really do. And when I get out there, I've taken vacations that have nothing to do with, research or work at all. I've just gone to, burger destinations, just to eat burgers and talk to people. That was it. If I would say that, people, I think, tend to call them the flyover states. They talk about, Iowa and Oklahoma and Ohio and Michigan. I guess Michigan so much, but there's so much to see and do there that people really can't believe it until they actually set foot in the state and start exploring. I love Oklahoma. I love the Midwest. There's so much real America there.
Have you been to Cleveland?
I've been to Cleveland, yes. I've been to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
You have? Guess who hasn't been to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Your humble host.
No, come on.
I live 10 minutes away from the Rock and Roll, but here's the deal. Everybody that I know, and it's been plenty of people now over the last, however many years it's actually been up and running, that have come out and been like, And I'm like, oh shit! It's such a non-glowing review. It's like somebody took a bite of a really bad piece of food and said, "Oh, this is not good." George, you take a bite. You're like, no way, I don't want to do that. So I guess I've just stayed away.
I loved it there. I loved it. I'm a huge fan of music, live music, And it really is a place, if you're a fan of music, it's a great place to immerse yourself for sure.
Did you have any stick out food moments while you visited Cleveland?
I had ice cream at a place that had ice cream. I'm not sure where I was now, but it was a place that had ice cream that was from a former department store. Do you know about this at all?
It's not ringing a bell. The big ice cream thing now here locally is Mitchell's ice cream, but I don't know if that's even the same thing.
But this is an old school thing that came. I guess it was originally served at some small counter in a department store in Cleveland, and some guy bought the recipe and served it in his ice cream shop, which is just outside of, I think, just west of Cleveland. I mean, it's totally random, I know, but it was fantastic. It's kind of like a soft serve type ice cream, like kind of chocolatey, kind of coffee-like. I'm not sure, but it was really good.
All right, I'll have to do a little more digging on that. What about from a burger standpoint? Did you take in any Cleveland burgers of any type?
I mean, not much. I got to tell you. I mean, I don't have any favorites there except for who is the Galley Boy? What's the place with the Galley Boy? The drive with the Galley Boy.
That's Swenson's. But
Swenson's.
I mean, I can't even believe are we going to get into our first controversy of the evening? You know what? As somebody who has had a lot of burgers in my day, and I told my oldest at Seton Hill University that I said, Bobby, I'm having the foremost hamburger authority in the country on this. She's like, Dad, you know I'm the foremost hamburger authority, and I would love to have a conversation with George, and we would trade barbs. And I said, just back down, kid, and focus on those studies in volleyball. But Swenson's, to me, it's local. It's grown a tad. It's got that, dudes running around real quick to your car, and it kind of scares me a little bit, and quickly the food comes out. But I don't know, aside from just a little bit of a unique taste to that Galley Boy burger, if it's really kind of life-changing.
Well, I'll tell you why it's important. It's because a place like Swenson's actually has DNA in it that goes back to the original drive-in, which actually predates even the hamburger. Original drive-ins were actually they started with a pig stand. They actually started as pig stands in Texas, and what those kids do, those teenagers do, is they're doing exactly what car hops did back in the 30s and 40s in Texas, and of course eventually across America. Do you know where the word car hop comes from?
Yep.
You know the story of the car hop?
I do not.
So somebody as active as the car hops or the guys that would come out and take your order at Swenson's, they would literally run out to the street as a car was turning into the lot, and they would jump onto the running board of a car hop, and they would ride your car into a spot while they were taking your order.
Really?
They would buy a few seconds to actually take the order by standing on your running board. What can I get you, sir?
Wow, that's a great story.
So if you think about it, Swenson's actually is an extraordinarily important piece of American food history.
All right, I'll buy that. Very good. We're talking with George Motz, totally. And car hop totally makes sense now that you actually explained it, because nobody's done that before. So let's talk about, and maybe you don't like to, hear it, or, it's just humble, but, being the leading hamburger authority. So how does one build a way to be recognized as a hamburger authority?
I mean, I started almost 20 years ago. I made a film just for fun called Hamburger America, which was a very small, actually a very quiet film that explored 8 different hamburger restaurants in America. And back then, nobody was doing any kind of hamburger reporting at all. I mean, even the Food Network hadn't taken the hamburger seriously at all. It wouldn't show up at any kind of show at all. So someone said to me, Food Network, could you make some content for some in between the shows? And I said, sure, why not? And I made one little 5-minute clip about a hamburger place in New Mexico, and I realized that it was so much bigger than any kind of silly Food Network thing. And I ended up making a 1-hour documentary that went on PBS, it went on the Sundance Channel, and that sort of started my branding, if you will, for the whole hamburger world that I now basically own. It's kind of funny.
I mean, do you dig that? Do you dig kind of being the face of a portion of an industry?
I do. I mean, because I'm asked my opinion often. I do have the answers, which is kind of nice. But I'm constantly, I'll probably get 10, 15 texts a day saying, you hear this happened, this person list closed, this person changed this meat, this person has a new spatula. I mean, I've become a lightning rod for everything. I mean, I hear everything that's going on. So even though the idea of being an expert is that you have passion, and obviously for something you have knowledge. So if you combine passion and knowledge, you do become an expert. And I've got both those things, spades for sure.
So prior to Hamburger America coming out, or, I'm sure there was a bunch of time that you were working on it and then leading up to its release. But prior to that, What are you doing as a profession? Is it photography?
No.
Is it videography?
Yeah. So what I do, before, the reason I was able to make this film happen was I'm a director of photography by trade. I'm basically, back then I was shooting a lot of TV shows and TV commercials, and I would travel a lot. And every time I was on the road, people would say to me, George, you going to go check out a hamburger spot? They would laugh at me. Yeah, actually, I've got my camera in the bag. I want to go interview somebody about hamburgers. And which I did. I spent a lot of time. So I would basically piggyback jobs. I would be in Milwaukee. I would be in Santa Fe. I'd be in California. And I would bring my camera and I would shoot interviews with people just to get an idea of, what is Hamburger America.
Let's do this. Can we find, or is there a trackable, quote unquote, first burger or burger zero of the hamburger world? Does it exist?
It probably does, but none of us really have that kind of information because it happened before the internet.
And the internet always tells the truth, by the way, George. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Exactly. So, but if you go back to the very, very beginning, the reason we don't have anything that's actually traceable is simply because the hamburger may have been invented at a state fair. And of course, state fairs are transient. And we're talking about state fairs in the 1890s, 1895. And, back then there was, people would say, oh, I had this great thing. And it was a Hamburg steak, which is back then was served on a plate served with a knife and a fork. I mean, my guess is somebody at a state fair watched a hot dog walk by and said, whoa, we should put our Hamburg steak on a piece of bread. And that may have been how it was. And it probably happened 4, 5, 6 times over in a span of 5 years. And then, so there's really no way to track, a lot of claims to the original hamburger. We do know that it started at a state fair somehow in the Midwest.
Does it surface in a more stable brick and mortar and or restaurant environment at some point?
It does, actually. I mean, one of the best claims that I like, probably not an original claim, because the timing was a little bit late. It was 1900 that a place called Louis' Lunch in Connecticut served the first Hamburg steak on bread, which is basically chopped beef, cooked somehow, and served on bread. And their story that I guess the 5th generation family member told was that somebody ran in and said, I'm in a rush. I don't have time for a knife and a fork. Could you please just throw it on some bread? And they say they invented it then, though I do believe that it may have been invented in the Midwest before that. What's nice, though, is that at Louis' Lunch in Connecticut, it still is the longest continually operating hamburger restaurant in America, which I find fascinating. I mean, they've been around for 119 years.
So you can go right there today and potentially get the first creation of a hamburger right there in 2019.
Yeah, they should actually still make it on toast.
Oh, really?
They never adopted the bun.
Is it a big place? I mean, do people go there for nostalgia and to say they ate there, or is it pretty run of the mill busy?
It's funny. It's a little bit of both. You get fans there who can't believe they're eating in what we call hamburger church. It's like one of the most important places in the world of hamburgers. You walk in, there's no music playing, there's nobody saying, hi, can I take your order? They really couldn't give a crap about you. You walk in and they look at you like you just walking up, like kind of, what do you want? And you give them your order, and they're happy to give you a burger, but it's not all warm and fuzzy. It's not that if you ask for ketchup, you're shown the door. If you ask for too many burgers, you're shown the door.
Wow.
If you tell them that you want a burger cooked a certain way, they'll look at you like you're crazy. And I tell people, just when you walk in there, just don't be a jerk. Just walk in there and get the burger they've been serving for 119 years. Enjoy it and get the hell out of there.
Is that a shtick that they're running there, or they're just built like that?
No, I swear it is no shtick. I've known these guys forever. They've become good friends of mine, and they're hard boiled. This is like hard boiled hamburger, hamburger royalty as far as I'm concerned.
George Motz joining us here on the show. By the way, if you want to check out his website, it is his name, georgemotz.com, and you can check him out here while we're chagging up here over the next few minutes. So, George, let's kind of pull it back out again here at 30,000 feet and talk a little bit of opinion here. So, in your estimation, what makes burgers great? Regardless of type and region, we'll get on that stuff here in a minute, but what makes burgers great?
I mean, the number one ingredient to a great burger is fresh ground beef cooked correctly. And the second thing is, I think is also equally as important, is that once you have that fresh ground beef, how do you build a burger? I mean, your first bite of a burger really should be the thing that you say to yourself, I'm coming back. So you take that first bite and you've got to taste everything in that first bite, whether it's, it's just the burger and cheese and the bun, or you're tasting all the elements that the person gave you, the sauce and the onions and whatever else is on there. It should all be in the first bite. So that's the most important thing, is that I call the comeback bite. That the first bite should be the one that says, I'm coming back.
When you talk about the meat, I've had a number of people on here during the course of the 12-year run of the show. Then we get fairly into the minutia of, is it choice? Is it prime? Is it certified Angus? Is it Wagyu? Is it 80-20? Is it 75-15? Blah, blah, blah. What do you find to be the best meat choice? And then what's your fat blend choice as well?
Yeah, again, it has to be fresh, but never frozen. I mean, even sometimes if you freeze a large, side of animal, or you freeze, box beef, and then you try to grind it, it's still you've already destroyed the cells of the animal. You're much better off starting with the fresh product. The best burgers will always come from an animal that was never frozen. And for me, it's chuck. Honestly, if you can, the foolproof way is to go 80-20 or 75-25 chuck, which means 75% lean, 25% fat. I think it's probably the best thing for a burger.
Temperature-wise, as you're cooking, do you have a internal temperature of the burger that you like to pull it off at, or are you a thermometer guy when you're cooking burgers, or does all just kind of look, feel, poke?
Yeah, I'm only a thermometer guy for the cooking surface, not for the internal temperature, because my favorite burger to cook is a smash burger. I like to be able to cook a burger smashed, super thin, but cooked fast and hot. And for that, I need a griddle that's burning at least 500 degrees. So if my thermometer is kicking back 500 degrees, I have a surface-free thermometer. If it's 500 degrees, I'm in great shape.
Let's talk about smash burger for a second, because it's obviously been around for quite some time. It's a favorite of yours, and I've been seeing it, I'd say over the last 18 to 24 months, a lot more prevalently in YouTube videos, on some of the Periscope videos and so forth. Can you give me an idea of, for somebody who doesn't know us, about a smash burger, the general concept and how you bring it from start to finish?
The basic idea of smash burger goes back to the beginning of the hamburger age. The smash burger was invented strictly for speed. It was only done to get people in and out of the restaurant as fast as possible. Other guys at the beginning had stools with 4 to 6 stools. Actually, they had stands with 4 to 6 stools in front. And if you had a guy sitting on a stool, you want to get him out of there as fast as possible. So you took little balls of beef and you smashed them on a flat top, and they cooked within about 30 seconds to a minute. They cook super fast. They go onto a very small, back then, they served them on dinner rolls, small Pullman rolls or dinner rolls. That's where we get the slider from. And then you could buy 4 or 5 or 6 of those and inhale those and walk away and free the stool up. So if you think about a smash burger, it really is all about speed. But it's also happening. The smash burger has to be cooked on a flat top, has to be cooked on some kind of a hot surface to get that really, really amazing, crunchy, griddle char. And that I think is the best part about the flavor profile. A lot of the thicker burgers, they're fantastic and they're full of juice. They're full of juices that taste like a steak. But honestly, when you're trying to make a smash burger, you're not trying to make a burger that tastes like a steak.
Are you looking for juiciness of that, or is it a whole different expectation?
There's 2 different types of juice. There is actual rendered fat inside of a thick patty burger.
Yeah. But
there's also some other regular, the liquefied, liquefaction that's happening inside has nothing to do with any kind of liquefied fat at all. With a smash burger, it's strictly just liquid fat. And it's concentrated liquid fat because you smashed it thin.
And are you typically stacking these, or can it just be one on a? Well, okay, let me back up for a second. People are now talking about meat to bun ratio. I'm getting some instant chat stuff here. Do you have a meat to bun ratio specificity depending on the type of burger that you're making, or typically if you're making this kind of burger, you want to have about this much bun?
To me, the best meat to bun, I'll give you some secrets here. Inside scoop. That for me, the best meat to bun ratio is a 3-inch potato roll, so 3-inch bun, and you're talking about 2 separate patties. If you have 2 smashed patties that are about 2.5 to 3 ounces each, probably 2.5 ounces is probably enough. So you're talking about a 5 ounces of meat with a 3-inch bun is probably the best way to go. And you're talking about smash this. If you take a 2.5 ounce patty, you smash it thin, It has to be a little bit bigger than the size of the bun. So that's a pretty thin patty. But what you get, though, is you end up with 4 surfaces that have the Maillard reaction with a nice brittle crunch. You get that nice, that almost like, it's almost like beef candy as developed on the outside of the burger. But you have 4 sides that have it on there.
Are you a
You're making me hungry.
Are you a bun toaster?
I'm not, it's funny. I do appreciate the bun toast. I do. I don't appreciate people who put too much butter on a burger. It doesn't make any sense to me because if you over butter the bun will just fall apart. Right? Because once all those rendered fats start to attack the bun, you've got a matter of seconds before that thing falls apart in your hand. So if you have a buttered bun and you haven't toasted it correctly or too much butter, it will definitely deteriorate the bun way faster. So for me, I personally actually like to do what I call letting it ride. I flip a burger on the flat top, and then I put the crown, so the top part of the bun, down first. The cheese goes down first, and the crown goes on top of the cheese. Then I put the heel of the bun upside down, or right side up, on top of the bun. And it becomes this stack of 2 buns and cheese and meat that end up actually steaming the bun while it's sitting there on the flat top for the next minute or 2.
Nice. George Motz talking to us about all things burgers here. George, can I hold you just for 1 second, and then we'll pick it up here right after I do a quick read?
Sure.
All right, stand by. We are talking with the foremost burger authority, George Motz. Again, his website is georgemotz.com, MOTZ.com. Quickly, let me talk to you about Southside Market and Barbecue for anyone who loves sausage and barbecue. Southside, established in 1882. They are the oldest barbecue joint in Texas. They've been owned and operated by the same family for 3 generations. Famous for the original beef sausage. That's a coarse ground product in a natural pork casing. They also do authentic Central Texas barbecue meats as well. All of those, including the prime brisket, slow smoked for many hours over real Texas post oak wood. They ship nationwide via the online store, southsidemarket.com. And they also ship fresh and smoked sausages nationwide. Shipping customers can choose to order now and ship later. They can include a custom gift note. You can also mail to multiple addresses without additional charges. All shipped items are vacuum sealed to ensure freshness and ease of preparation for the customers. Shipped with dry ice to ensure complete freshness upon arrival. All meats processed in a on-site USDA inspected facility. Meat markets for fresh and smoked products. Custom orders are welcome as well. 2 restaurants if you want to eat at them. Elgin, Texas since 1882 and Bastrop, Texas since 2014. Grocery distribution through Texas and many surrounding states as well. If you go to southsidemarket.com and you load up on the sausages and the barbecue meats and all that stuff as you check out, use promo code BBQ Central. That's one word, all lowercase, BBQ Central for 10% off your entire order. Not just the first time, but every time you go to southsidemarket.com. Back with more burger talk with George Motz. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rampey.
All right, welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by cookinpellets.com, your number one source for quality wood pellets for all your pellet-driven cookers. Visit Cookin, C-O-O-K-I-N, cookinpellets.com for more information or to purchase. You can also buy from Amazon.com if you want. Little fledgling website for Amazon. And George rejoins us here. George, thanks for hanging with me through the break there, and we get back to some more burger talk. We were talking about Smash Burger. Let me tie that up here because I've seen some of your videos, and the picture you sent me to use here on the video side has a lot of onions on them. Is that a personal preference or is that a requirement in your estimation?
Well, a little bit of both, I guess. But it is that's actually when I do events. I make a burger called the Oklahoma Fried Onion Burger. And that only came about because I wrote a cookbook about 3 years ago. And someone said to me, "Well, can you come on the show and you come on a TV show and make a burger? What could you make in a 5-minute segment?" I thought, what would be the best bang for their buck? And it became that burger, which is a smashed thin burger. It goes back to the 1920s in central Oklahoma, actually specifically a place called El Reno, Oklahoma. what they do is they actually take equally sized wad of thin sliced sweet onion, and they smash it into a ball of beef, and it cooks and it kind of intermingles and mixes with the beef grease and caramelizes on the edges and gets kind of soft in the middle. It's pretty incredible. I mean, it's one of those burgers that I believe has the sum is greater than its parts for sure. There's no question about it. If people bite in this burger and they say, take a bite and they say, what's the sauce? What's the secret? What are your seasonings? And there's nothing. It's literally 5 ingredients. It's only the bun, beef, cheese, salt, and onions, and that's it.
Sometimes simplicity is the most complex of flavors, right?
Well, exactly what I like to think is that, my job is to make sure that people are not just getting it right, but they're also, getting an historically accurate burger. They're actually enjoying something that is not just something that I made up on my own, and I've got this special blend of spices and whatever else. No, but my job is to make sure you're eating burgers or enjoying burgers that have some kind of historical significance. And that's that burger for sure.
George, when you're smashing the smash burger, is there a technique or a proper device that you need to use to smash, or does it matter?
Oh, no, it definitely matters. I mean, I developed a special tool called the Smashula, which is nothing more than a quadruple weight, very, very stiff stainless steel spatula. It's a big wide spatula, but I've had problems where I've tried to smash with certain spatulas that have cracked and broken on me. If you're trying to make 400, 500, 600 burgers a day, you can never get through a day without breaking a spatula. It's almost impossible. So I invented a 12-gauge stainless spatula that is designed just for taking balls of beef and systematically smashing them exactly the same way every time. But what I actually do is a little different. I actually have a method, which is I stole a method from 3 different spots in the Midwest, and it involves a very specific roll, like a smash and roll. It's hard to explain as you actually see it happen. But I do something that actually allows the edges to get very, very thin and crispy, almost like the lacy-edged burgers of Central Illinois, which is a very specific type of burger. But it makes for a very, very special burger.
Is there a can I buy that Smashula on your website, or are they on Amazon, or where do you get them?
I wish you could. We actually sold out last December. Our factory quit on us, and we could not find anyone to actually pick up where they left off. We currently, unfortunately, have a waiting list of about 250 people waiting for a Smashula.
Really?
We're trying to get back into production. I think that we are pretty close right now with a person who has taken it upon themselves. I said, listen, if you start now, we've got a very large order for you. So who wants it? And I think we finally found somebody. So hopefully we'll have, the idea is to have Smashulas by Christmas, hopefully.
All right. So if you are interested in one of George's Smashulas, head up his website and kind of keep track of what's going on, and hopefully production starts to take off. Let's talk about this unique thing, and it's not unique now, but, when it first started showing up on burgers, maybe it's been around forever, and it was just kind of one of those internet things, is the sunny side or the over easy egg on top of a burger, and then you either cut it in half or you lance it with a knife, so you get the nice yolk porn shot for your Instagram or whatever. But have these kind of eggs been on burgers for like decades and decades, or is it a fairly new fashion?
Well, I'd say in America it's fairly new, only because there were a few places in America that have always had an egg on a burger. I know a place in Virginia. I know there's a place in Texas. But outside of that, I don't. An egg on a burger is relatively new to Americans. Now, if you think about it, eggs on burgers have been happening forever around the world. I mean, eggs play very, very well in most cuisines in the world. In fact, I had an Italian egg dish tonight for dinner, which is kind of odd. But you think about eggs on burgers, they've been doing it forever in Indonesia. They've been doing it forever also in Australia. The idea that the Australian burger has a cooked egg, a fried egg on it, but not so much in America. It's a newish thing. It's actually become sort of a trendy gourmet thing also. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that all these guys who own these restaurants say, hey, let's put an egg yolk, and it's half cooked, and then when it pops on Instagram, everyone will come and run and eat our burger, which of course is completely asinine. It makes me totally insane. It makes me crazy.
But let's talk about, aside from that, and I believe I used to call it yolk porn, and we used to make fun of people, they didn't realize it, but we were making fun of people that were doing it all the time. From a taste and a textural addition to the burger, I think that buttery yolk and the beef and the cheese and, whatever else is on top, it all plays wildly well together, albeit a little messy and so forth. But I mean, what do you think? What do you think it adds to a positive or a negative?
No, there's no question about it that it adds a very important richness to the burger. But I mean, I'm sort of torn because, I mean, to me, if I go into a restaurant, and I travel the world, I've been a lot of places, and if I see a dish that has an egg on top, I'm excited about it because I know it's going to add a certain amount of richness to that dish for sure. I'm not so sure I want that on my burger, though. I mean, to me, I think about the original burger. I think about the concept of the burger as something very, very simple and nothing more than meat and cheese, maybe just meat and onions and mustard, maybe a pickle. And that's what I want. I don't really want an egg on my burger. I want an egg for breakfast. I don't want an egg on my burger.
Would you be good if they cooked like a dozen eggs and bled them all out, and then you had like a ramekin of egg yolk that you could like dip your burger in? Or are we conceptualizing something for George Motz's hamburger machine when it opens up?
Yeah, I mean, I have friends who have very great high-end restaurants. They've got eggs in their burgers. I love them. I love their burgers. But honestly, if I'm talking about a daily beater, something I'm going to literally eat every single day, I guarantee even those guys would show up in my restaurant saying, I don't want that burger with egg on it. I think I want a regular, good old American cheeseburger, something I can literally enjoy every day and not even think about it.
Right on. George Motz joining us here on the show. All right, so let's have the uncomfortable conversation related to plant-based meats. The two biggest names out there, of course, Beyond and Impossible. And for whatever reason, George, the debut comes as hamburger-style patties. So do you have any, high-level thoughts on plant-based meat and the fact that they entered a market with hamburgers, no less?
Well, they entered the market with hamburgers for a basic reason that it was an easy grab. People could understand that more than people could understand the farting cow over what a car might produce for some reason. I'm not sure why. They could also understand, on any food that you could have created this out of nothing, out of a science project. For some reason, the hamburger made the most sense. So the people who are making this what I call it imposter. It's the imposter burger. They're trying, which is fine. They're trying to tackle the market, and successfully so. I mean, they're preying on guilt, unfortunately, which I don't think is not such a great thing. They don't care about vegetarians, which they've openly said. I'm not sure if you knew that or not. They couldn't give a crap about vegetarians because vegetarians only make up, I think, 6% of the American palate. They care about the other 94% of Americans who actually are carnivores. They're trying to convert them. When I spoke to them, I have friends at Impossible Foods, and they said, we're actually not trying to convert them. We're trying to basically tell them that they have an option. They have options. So, I mean, research has shown that every seventh sandwich that someone eats at a fast food restaurant is going to be something alternative. Before there was Impossible Foods and Beyond Meat, there was the chicken sandwich or the turkey burger, which is, I think, the biggest sham in the world. It's also not very healthy either, by the way. I know everything's so healthy. It's full of crap. It's full of a lot of stuff a hamburger itself literally has nothing in it but hamburger and hamburger fat and a lot of good natural stuff. You put a lot of like breadcrumbs and crap in a turkey burger to make it taste like anything. So Beyond Meat is actually Beyond Meat and Impossible Foods are actually on the right track in terms of trying to, get people to eat burgers. The problem is it doesn't taste like a burger. So,
well, I mean, I would argue that while they're trying to, I guess, provide an alternative, that they definitely don't care about humans in general, because if you look at the calorie intake and how highly processed it is, and I've said it on this show for months and months now, it's not a healthy alternative by any stretch of the imagination. It's not healthier than red meat. It's not going to save your life. It's not going to do any of that. It's just a beef alternative, and that's all it is. And I think some people continually get caught up in, okay, well, it's not meat, so that means it must be healthy. Even though they're not saying it, they're not also not saying it.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong. I mean, I hate to say it, but if you let's think about Americans, what they looked like physically in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. I mean, you have the Depression in there for a while, and then people were probably starving, but they were pretty thin. They were pretty lean humans. You look at pictures of your grandparents. Yeah. They look fantastic. Why do they look so good? Because they were eating natural foods this is before processing, before anything, pretty much. And a hamburger is not it's not a bad thing. It's not bad for you. The bun may be worse than the actual meat itself in a way, if you think about it. So, sure, I mean, I do believe that companies like Beyond and Impossible, what they're basically doing is they're preying on guilt, which is an interesting part of the American psyche. But it's a very important part of branding and the way business is run.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they're onto something, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, I had Pat LaFrida on the show maybe 2.5 months ago, and he's kind of semi-recurring. We love to talk beef with Pat, and he's from a high level there, LaFrida Meats is a supporter of the alternative beef or the plant-based meat product, but he said entering into this sector as a burger is a tremendous failure, and it's not going to overcome the necessary hurdles it needs in order to probably see the success that they were hoping for. But he seems to think that in a different form, let's say ground beef or something along these lines in a commercial kitchen or in the kitchen in your house, that's going to be where the ultimate success lies for Beyond an Impossible Meat.
Well, if they're, it's still a science project. It's still a marketing ploy. It's a lot of things that haven't quite fleshed out yet. Pardon the term. They haven't really fleshed out what's happening here. They're getting there. They've done an amazing amount of marketing, and they've done a lot. It's really obviously been very effective. People are talking about it nonstop. I must have done 10 interviews a week the minute that the good old BK decided to go with Impossible Foods. So but I think it's definitely the problem that I have with it is simply that it doesn't taste good. Which I think if you're talking about a hamburger, I think you got to nail the taste first. And they've had 2.0 was introduced last year, and it was honestly it was a lot better than 1.0, that's for sure. But it wasn't quite there yet. And I think what they're missing is that they're missing a very important scientific component that I've talked about with them. They're missing oleic acid. Oleic acid is something that's found mostly in the bottom of the animal, briskets and the slower cooked cuts. The oleic acid is a very important aspect to flavor profile of meat. It also exists. You can also find it in avocado, and you can find it in olive oil. So it exists out there, but you have to have that. That's what people go back to brisket. They can't understand why they love brisket so much. And it's because of that. It's because of the draw of oleic acid.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe I recently read an article that said oleic acid is actually a health benefit too. I mean, I didn't go out of its way to say you should be eating 8 pounds of brisket, but it said if you're going to eat red meat, maybe a brisket with the benefits of oleic acid probably isn't a bad thing. Or if you have the option, choose the brisket.
This is true, but it's more of the high. It's more of the high you get from eating brisket. It is inherent in the oleic acid. That's where it comes from.
All right, George, I'm going to put you on the spot here with 30 seconds left to go. Favorite burger you have ever eaten and why?
Oh, I can't. That's a secret. I can't tell you that. I can't play favorites, unfortunately. I can't do that.
All right, I'm going to tell you my favorite burger because I don't have any problem calling people out. The favorite burgers, and it just recently happened on my visit to Chicago a couple weeks ago. I went to Au Cheval on the West Loop. I was expecting a 3-hour line. It was a Sunday at 10 o'clock a.m. I got right in, sat right down at the bar, watched the symphony and masterpiece that was happening at the flat top with like a dozen dudes back there sweating on top of each other. That burger, and it was a double burger. They were thinner. I did get the egg, thick cut bacon. It was a sublime marriage of meat and fat and cheese, and the bun was delicious. I think by far currently the best restaurant hamburger I've had. Have you been there?
Of course I've been there. I've been there a bunch of times. I do love the burger. I think if you're looking at Chicago, it's obviously one of the best in the Midwest, one of the best gourmet higher end burgers in Chicago for sure, unquestionably. I'm not a big fan of that big piece of pork belly they put on there though, or bacon, whatever they call it.
Yeah, they call it bacon.
It needs to come off. They need to take that off there, or you just take it off yourself and eat it as a snack later on. Put it in your pocket and save it for later. The egg, I think, is an add-on. You must have added the egg.
It was an add-on. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, I've had the egg, and the first time I went there, I had the egg. I thought it was too much. It was too rich. It was too much going on. But I needed to take a nap after this. A burger shouldn't make you have to take a nap. A burger should be something that propels you through the day, not makes you want to crash.
Right.
So the egg was a little bit much, but I definitely do appreciate that burger for sure. That is a great burger.
Right.
I'm not gonna tell you that in New York City we have a new great burger just came out. Billy Journey who started Hometown, a barbecue place. I'm sure you've heard of Hometown. He opened a restaurant called Red Hook Tavern. And that burger is literally off the charts, and it's so good because it is nothing more than dry aged cuts blended with some other fresh beef, cooked on a flat top and served on a very basic bun with nothing more than American cheese, and it is fantastic. And I love the fact that it's a triumph for burgers because there's nothing to this burger except for the quality of the meat and the way it's cooked and cheese, and that's it.
Well, October 8th and 9th, I may be in New York City for my middle daughter's modeling gig, and that means most of the day I have nothing to do but toil around. So that could be a place where I might want to hit up then, right?
Give me a call. You're not going to get in without me.
Oh, very good. Then George has laid it out there on the line. I will definitely take you up on that if that actually comes to fruition. In the meantime, you can hit up George's website, georgemotz.com, and see everything that he has done. And also, this archive will be available tomorrow just after the midnight hour sweeps. George, this has been an incredible couple segments, great insight, great energy, and I certainly appreciate it. Hopefully we can do it again.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
You got it. There he is. The foremost authority of burgers, George Motz. And wow, a lot of energy, which as a host, I certainly appreciate. And man, great stuff. Great info. Wow. He's really into that smash burger. I don't know if I am. That's all right. We're allowed to have our own opinions. I do have I think Traeger made some kind of a spatula. They don't call it a spatula, but it's a huge, heavy spatula. I'll have to take a picture of it and show it to you guys at some point. But that could definitely smash 2 or 3 ounce, 3 ounce, did he say? Meatballs. Quickly, the barbecue guru, always believing that outdoor cooking should be easy and fun because it can be, especially with the Monolith Barbecue Guru Edition grill. Monolith, the world's first temperature-controlled smoker with a built-in power draft fan. This means smarter control, greater freedom with automatic temperature control. Easily choose your cooking time and temperature, and let the Monolith do the work of a sous chef or a barbecue pitmaster. With minimal effort, you now have oven-like precision at the grill, and you can serve the tastiest, juiciest of meals each and every time. Go to bbqguru.com or call 800-288-GURU. That's 800-288-GURU. Barbecue Guru continues to be a breakthrough in barbecue technology. We are back right after this.
Big name interviews, advice on cooking brisket and ribs, and the only host willing to share his honest opinion on all things important in the world of barbecue. It's the Barbecue Central Show.
All right, we're back. Thanks again to George Motz for killing it the past 2 segments. Big energy, right? And I've watched a lot of his videos, and he's very entertaining. I mean, he's a pro, right? I mean, this is his line of work. Does photography, shoots videos, TV shows, these stuff. So he knows how to bring the production alive, and he brought incredible energy. That amped me up. I was like, yeah, let's go. And great burger insight. Dropping some knowledge, some scoops, and some basic techniques. Not a fan of the egg yolk, I think we found out as well. We are pointing to the second hour. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Stick around.
This is Doug Scheiding of Rogue Cookers, Texas Embedded Correspondent. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
Happy to have you aboard here for the Really Big Barbecue Show.
Boing.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me.
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle. Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude.
Succulent fish. What?
He ate 2 feet for wieners. Oh, listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
All right, just like that, we are into the second hour. Welcome aboard. You found the Barbecue Central Show. We talk about barbecue and grilling type items for 2 hours on Tuesdays from 9 to 11. If you missed the first hour, fear not. I am recording as we do this live show on Tuesdays from 9 to 11, and the first hour will be released on Wednesday. You will get the second hour on Thursday. I'll tell you about the best of show here in just a moment. Hey, if you are looking for a remote thermometer up to 6 inputs, Fireboard is what you want. Fireboard.com is the website. 816-945-2232. And if you have Google or the Alexa, Google Assistant or Alexa, it is fully integrated with both. And you can load out with up to 6 different internal meat probes if you want, or you can mix it up and have a couple different ambient temperature probes, and then the balance being the internal meat probes or a mix of however you want it. Fireboard.com is the place to go. I use mine all the time. It's absolutely fabulous. Plus, it's got the great app, hooks to your local area network. You can also watch it graph on your laptop, computer, or tablet. This is the one you want. A lot of other things out there. It's a little expensive, but as I say in the barbecue world, buy the best and only cry once. You're not complaining after I told you to go buy your Thermapen. You sucked it up. You spent the $85. Now you're like, oh, you know it all, Rippy. Of course, I'm here to give you the right information. Fireboard is also there. All right, still to come on this show, the Embedded Correspondents segment. We have a Barbecue Central Show exclusive Hall of Fame guest class of 2019. What does that mean? The Barbecue Central Show typically has guests on its show every Tuesday. Last year, we decided we would start a Barbecue Central Show guest Hall of Fame. We put in a real... Oh, I was about ready to torture the English language the likes you've never seen. We put in a bunch of people in 2018. We actually did it in categories, which was kind of a nose up to a particular organization back in the day. We did recurring guest, semi-recurring guest, and one-off guest, and we put a bunch of folks in. That's the way you start a Hall of Fame. You just push a whole bunch of people in. Good base developed. Now, as we move into the second year and then subsequent years after that, 5 total people will be getting in. As long as you have been an interviewee on the show, rest assured you have a 100% chance of potentially being nominated. Once you're nominated, you have to make the cut on making it into the final 5. Here in the efforts of transparency,
a Barbecue Central Show exclusive news update.
That's right. This is Greg Rempe reporting at the breaking news desk here in Cleveland, Ohio. And I will reveal who is on the Barbecue Central Show Guest Hall of Fame nominating committee. It also happens to be the Embedded Correspondents and Stover. That's right, and me. This is not up for debate. These are not running terms. These are the people that I picked and who I have the most regular communication with. If you want to write in your own Barbecue Central Show Guest Hall of Fame nominations, I am happy to take them. They are not going to be considered. I don't want to make any bones about it. Feel free to give me your feedback. I am not going to use it.
Andrew, you are not
going to use it. So, where was I now? I got lost in everything. My head was abuzz there with a whole bunch of stuff. So, those are the 6 total, 6 total people that make up the nominating and voting committee. As it sits right now at 10:05 Eastern, okay, we have 4 of the 5 locked down. However, the 5th one, not so easy. So through our own generation of 5 nominees, so I nominated 5 folks, Doug nominated 5, David 5, Stover 5, John 5, Steve 5. We have a list of what would then make up, obviously, of 6 people. Is that 6 people? Me, and John and Steve and David and Doug and Stover. 6. That's 30 nominees. I did that math in my head. So basically, as long as your name gets put in, 2 or 3 different times by 2 or 3 different folks, there's a good chance you're going to be in the class that year. Except in its second year or the first year without category or anything, we are running up against the fact that we were unable to unanimously pick a 5th person to go into the Barbecue Hall of Fame, the Barbecue Guests Hall, the Barbecue Central Show's Guest Hall of Fame. That's what I'm saying. So because it's my show and because talking and arguing is what we do best, especially in the second hour on the 4th Tuesday, we are going to do it live.
We'll do it live.
We are going to do it live.
Do it live.
We will do it live.
I'll write it and we'll do it live.
In 30 minutes from now, in 10 minutes from now, we will do it live. We will announce our own 5. We will announce the 4 in, and then we will argue for a 5th that we will have to come to a majority's decision on. It is going to be absolutely fantastic. And then we will have our class of 2019, the Barbecue Central Show Guest Hall of Fame class of 2019. I'm going to tell you right now, there might be some surprises that are already in there. I know for a fact there are surprises that are already in there. You're not going to believe. So good. All right, I just want to finish up with a few more items on the Hartville Hardware weekend this past. It's experiences like these where, from my standpoint, you can see which presenters know their stuff. I'm talking about live demos now. Which presenters know their stuff and which ones are coming for a check. Rule number 1 of the show, no names, please. But 2 of the 3 live demo folks should not be doing that kind of thing as it relates to the barbecue and grilling community. I'm sure at their regular places of work, they are more than competent. But in this setting, it was a bit shocking. When I'm the MC of the event and there are presenters or live demonstrators, I know how each individual one is going by how much I have to carry the time. Basically, the less of me talking and interacting, the better overall the demo is going. In 2 of these cases, I was really helping eat the time up. Or in another case, I was actually wrapping up the presenter because there appeared to be no end in sight. And there was another demo that had to go on at the bottom of the hour, and her cooker was raging out of control. And I had to come from the back of the tent up to the front and adjust her cooker. Wowee. Wowee. However, let me tell you this. If you are ever in a position to hire a presenter that is an expert in the barbecue and grilling world, or if you ever have a chance to see her demo in class, Danielle Bennett, a.k.a. Diva Q, is going to be worth every red cent. She demoed reverse-seared steaks, the first demo, and barbecue ribs, the second demo, both presentations full of information. But the way it's presented, the engagement with the crowd, the ability to work off the cuff, the whole deal was incredible to both be a part of and to fan out and watch from the back as well. It was the easiest part of my day. The tent was filled for both presentations. Perhaps she's easy to write off because she was originally from Canada, or she's not a man, or she hasn't won enough GCs to your liking, or whatever axe you have to grind when it comes to DVQ. Whatever that may be. But I'm here to tell you, she is a professional. She is engaging. She is incredibly knowledgeable and hardworking. And the bottom line is she walks it, period. She doesn't talk it, she walks it, period. I got to spend a few moments after the day had wrapped up before I headed west out to Tiffin, Ohio to take in some Seton Hill University volleyball. And we spoke about a few other items. And while I will never reveal what the content of those stories entail, I am here to tell you that she is one of the strongest people, and quite honestly, maybe one of the best people I have ever come to know over the years of covering this industry. Danielle, I had a great time this past weekend, and I hope that your schedule works out for next year because I'm going to make sure that my schedule works out next year, and we will blow it up again in Hartville in 2020, and you can book it. Book it. I'm telling you right now, if you have the chance to hire her, if you are looking for somebody to do this, if you have a live demonstration need for barbecue and grilling, you have to get in touch with her. Now, I haven't been around every single presenter ever on the face of the earth, but I know good and I know bad, and I saw both, and she is great. She is somebody that would add value and motivate and inspire. She's really good. Really good. Really good. Anyway, just wanted to wrap up on that. And we have the Embedded Correspondents coming up out of the second. Come on. 2019 Barbecue Central Show guest class. 2019 Hall of Fame class for the Barbecue Central Show guest. You know, it's really not easy to say. The 2019 Barbecue Central Show guest Hall of Fame class to be bandied about in a short few. I will raise them on this here horn, and we will be back. Stick around.
The only show giving you a monthly visit from a doctor of barbecue. A man actually named Meathead. The author of a barbecue Bible. Bloggers, reviewers, competitors, and manufacturers by the dozens. It's the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Hey, this portion of the show being brought to you by Smithfield. That's right, you signed up for the Smokin' with Smithfield National Barbecue Championship. Maybe it's too late. Maybe it's too late. SmokingWithSmithfield.com has all of the details that you might need. Look at these dopes. Go ahead, make fun of me all you want. SmokingWithSmithfield.com is the place to go if you are ready to find out where you rank against all competitive barbecue teams across the country. Visit the same website, SmokingWithSmithfield.com. And there we go. All right, it is the fourth Tuesday of the month. We have a lot to talk about, so let's immediately get after it. And we welcome back the evidently very angry Barbecue Central Show Embedded Correspondents. Gentlemen, welcome into the show. And let's see here. John, are you there or just not on camera? John? Hello, John?
I am here. I can see myself
there
on camera.
I got you. There you go. This is very unique, so I have to figure out. Steve has blurred himself out totally, which, from a guest's viewing standpoint, Steve, we all applaud that. Steve, quit trying to mess around with your goddamn technology. Get the blur away, and let's just see it for Christ's sake. I mean, everybody's got to be so fucking cute on this show. Get the blur away. Let's see you, and let's get after it. For crying out loud. John, you tell these people that they can do all this stuff, and then they think they're magicians. And now look at Steve. Can't get the goddamn camera off of blur. He can't do it. God damn it. This is unbelievable. Steve, can you take the blur off, please? Is it possible? All right, Steve has hung up. Thank God. He's off. Steve left. Thank you.
Greg, you know what Steve's feed looks like?
No, I don't.
It looks like trying to watch free porno in the 90s.
Yes! I mean, what do you mean? What do you mean? That's what I mean. All right, so
I
Steve,
can admit it.
Steve, are you there or no? Or did you leave? Steve
He
left?
left.
All right. Steve will be back. Don't worry about it. All right, so, guys, we have a couple different topics to talk about this evening, and the first of which may take a large portion of our evening here tonight. All right, so let's see, might be coming back in. All right, none of the work. We'll work with it. That is the 2019, oh, God, it's so hard to say, the 2019 Barbecue Central Show class of the 2019 Barbecue Central, the 2019 Barbecue Central Show Guest Hall of Fame class. Oh, my God. We got to come up with a better name for this thing. The more I talk about it, the more I hate myself. Last year was the inaugural class. We put in a whole bunch of people, but this year it's only going to be 5. We have 4 locked in right now, and we are going to have to conversate about our 5th one. So let's start this way. If all the audience members want to go ahead and start keeping track like we're getting into the overall calls at a barbecue competition, certainly up to you, but let's do this. Let's start with Doug Scheiding, the longest-running embedded correspondent. Doug, give me your 5 nominees, because let me reset up again. Every embedded correspondent and Stover was able to nominate 5 guests that they thought should be in the Hall of Fame. Then they submitted to me. Then I went through very quickly and found out who was getting multiple nominations. Those people were making it in. There happened to be 4. There's a 5th one that we're going to talk about. That's what I mean. All right, so, Doug, talk to me about your 5 and why.
Okay. My first one, which came immediately to mind, and I'm surprised that we didn't get him in last year, is Darren Worth of Iowa Smoky D's. He is, in my mind, he is the GOAT, the greatest of all time. I think he's won just about everything except Memphis in May, and he's all, done it all on tenderness and mustard and ketchup, as he says. So I think he's an automatic shoe-in. Michael Simon, he's the whale. You finally got his interview. Yes, it was only one interview, but you finally got it, and it was a good interview. So I recommend Michael Simon based on his one interview that you got. Angel Todd, we had the unlucky position of going after her after she got in on that first segment, the open segment, usually 9 to 9:14, and she was fantastic. I hope she does as well in her other competitions. It'd be interesting to get an update on her, but I think her normally the under 20 people that have come on the show, the younger kids, they haven't done well. They always answer yes, no. They don't really go into, explanations. And it was good to kind of hear her naivety to a little bit, but her enthusiasm and how she wanted to do this and all the things she had going on. My other 2, I actually went to the old guys list. I thought we needed to, in the same way we, bash the other organization. There's some old guys that I think need to be in. And so I whittled the list down from 4 to 2. My first one was Fred Bernardo.
Oh, yeah. The smoking guitar player. I actually liked him. He was entertaining. Yes. He had some online. He was probably my first online videos that I watched when he had some of his online educational, be it good or bad. But he was always entertaining, and I enjoyed his episodes on the Barbecue Central Show. He was on 14 times. Now, the other one, I went a little different direction, and Kevin Bevington. Number 1, he is an accomplished barbecue cook. Was he the Florida Cook of the Year? Or, look, let me make sure that we're all aware of who Kevin Bevington is here, Doug. I don't want to step on your toes here. But Kevin was a former FBA president for a number of years. He was Team of the Year in FBA for 4 years in a row. 4 years in a row.
I knew it was at least one.
Also, in conjunction with the years that he was blowing everybody's doors off in the FBA, he was routinely in the top 10 overall KCBS Team of the Year points race as well. There was one specific year where I think he was 5th place or 4th place and winning FBA Team of the Year at the same time. And he had told me in an interview that his ultimate goal at that stage was to win Team of the Year both in KCBS but in FBA. But where he was in Florida and the lack of number of KCBS contests, it was fairly impossible, or he was just going to have to do an incredible amount of travel. Wasn't able to get there, and then fell on some health issues. Started Outdoor Cooking Channel, of course, where the show showed videos for years and years. That's who Kevin Bevington is in a very quick nutshell. I'm sorry, Doug.
Yeah, and that's exactly. And I actually think the Outdoor Cooking Channel, as much as his 60 Grand Championships and everything he did with the, I knew he was a team of the year for one year, at least in Florida, but just from my past memory. But the Outdoor Cooking Channel, I think, was somewhat central, no pun intended, from the standpoint of you getting on the the podcast portion of the show and the show being live, et cetera, and having an outlet to basically broadcasting every week. And how long were you with the Outdoor Cooking Channel? 3-4 years?
No, I was probably, I always think that everything is 2 or 3 years, so we were probably closer to 8 or 9 years probably.
Oh, okay. All right. So I just think he was instrumental in laying the foundation of you being where we are today. And I just wanted to recognize him. So those are my 5.
All right. Those are your 5s. Next up is our gentleman from Michigan, John Solberg. John, let's talk about your 5.
Well, my 5, and I really appreciate everyone's 5. First of all, this is a tough game,
and this is fun too. I love hearing the names that maybe I wasn't expecting, or ones that I haven't heard in a while. Like I haven't heard Kevin's name in a while, or Fred Bernardo's in a while. I mean, you'll see him every once in a while on your great production, the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less. But to hear it in this form, in a Hall of Fame nomination form, is certainly heartening.
Yes, and this our task is large today. My list is pretty straightforward. I have Chris Becker on the list from cookingpellets.com. He's a phenomenal guest. I just think he's a super cool guy. I love it every time he's on the show. He's got one of the greatest kitchens going on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of my underdog on my list is Billy Carroll from Do Rag. Billy Carroll is, in my opinion, the best in-studio guest you have ever had. And that could very well be the only time Billy's been on the show.
Yes, correct.
And there's probably only 50% of us on this call that even know who Billy is. I don't know that, but I'm guessing that.
Do-rag.
Do-rag. That's right. Yep.
Robin Lindars is on my list just because of her longevity, and maybe I should recluse myself from that one because we have a different business relationship. But she's been around since forever, and one of the original gangsters of barbecue and grilling food blogging. I got Heath Hall on my list, and that might be a head turner for a lot of people, but Heath Hall made barbecue cologne and was on the show. Heath Hall burned iPads in a grill to see how long they'd last. That was on the show. Heath Hall brought some amazing content, I think, to the Barbecue Central show.
Yep.
And my last of my 5 is Joe Beelan, Tippy Canoe. Just, I love listening to that. I could listen to that guy talk for hours. He's just so gracious. He's so fluent. Strong player in the history of barbecue and has always been a great guest.
All right, that's John's 5. Let's go ahead and talk with Steve Ray from Tennessee and hear his 5.
Malcolm Reed, number 1. No brainer. Jack Arnold. Am I the only one that thought of Jack Arnold?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to speak for everybody else. We can quickly survey the dais here, but what I thought was going to be a hard list of 5 to get to quickly generated into 20 names for me. Jack was certainly on that list. I mean, he was a pretty big get for me. Was he on the first time last year, I think, or was it earlier this year? But that was a pretty big deal. He had a really large Instagram following. I was a pretty big fan of everything that he was doing. But you see all these other names. This is why I think we're doing it right, because we can look at our names and go, none of these names are wrong, but when is it going to be Jack's time, or when is it going to be this person's time? And if it's not this year, it could be the following year. Did anybody else, John, did you think of Jack at all?
No.
David, did you think of Jack?
Yeah, I definitely considered him.
Doug, did you think of Jack?
I did. He was in my list of 10, my final list of 10, but didn't make it.
Stover, think of Jack?
I think of Jack all the time.
I meant for Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame.
I don't know this. I wasn't aware of that guy, and then he was on your show, and then now he's everywhere in my mind.
All right,
I can't get rid of him.
All right, so Steve, you are Jack Arnold as after Malcolm Reed.
It was a good interview too.
Yeah,
sitting next to Austin Dillon, you got the interview as Jack. Man, that's pretty. Mo Cason, Big Mo, Angel Todd, Doug, just like you.
Angel Todd, another one.
And And here's the other one.
Yeah.
Pat LaFrieda. How can we leave out Pat LaFrieda? Are you there?
I'm here.
Pat LaFrieda.
That's your list of five.
He's 6. That's 6. That's how you leave him out.
No, it's not.
No. That's 5. That's 5. He doesn't have the numbers right on the document, but it's 5 total. Jack
Can
Arnold,
we hear his 7 list?
Malcolm Reed, Jack Arnold, Mo Kaysan, Angel Todd, Pat LaFrieda. That's 5. There we go. I mean,
My bad.
Yeah, Doug is having trouble counting again in Texas, but that's all right.
Yeah.
Didn't Steve originally submit 7 names?
7 names and 3 honorable
He
mentions.
never follows the rules. I'd like to point that out.
Person Sarah Lewis.
Yeah, who are your honorable mentions, Steve?
Christy Vanover, Jack Morris from Ace Hardware, a great interview.
Oh yeah, he was good.
And Sarah Lewis, the last day of her job.
Oh yeah.
All right.
She'll act as
Hold on one second. I'm glad you mentioned that, Steve. I want to split the screen with you here. For those that don't remember, and I'm completely deviating, and I apologize. I had been working on setting up an interview with Steve's daughter, and it took a little while. She was very busy, travels a lot, and I didn't want to bring like Yeti in. And Stanley was making, I don't know, Steve, would you say it's a kind of a competing product? It's not roto-molded, but it's kind of a competing product, all that high-price crap. So she did this interview from her house, and she had this huge product set up. Unbelievable. It sounded great interview, totally professional, very impressive. And the day after, and Steve set it up for me, and I'm very grateful. And I wrote him back, and even, Sarah did great, blah, blah, blah. I'd love to talk with her. Maybe I could get Stanley to sponsor the show. And he wrote me back, and he's like, well, that might be hard because yesterday was her last day. She's left, and now she's going to work with North Face. And I'm like, what? Let me tell you something. The level of professionalism, I can tell you this, that if somebody approached me to come on a podcast to talk about Peterbilt trucks, and today was my last day, and we were going to be recording tonight, there was no way in hell that I would be talking about Peterbilt trucks if I was going to do something else in a completely different industry. I would wind up with the beer flu or something else. But Sarah Ray Lewis was 100% professional, showed up, had the huge show of products. Steve, I'm telling you, it's still probably one of the most memorable interviews I've ever done because it was a great interview on its head in a vacuum. But then having left the company the following day was absolutely mind-boggling. You've done something right, Steve.
she's tough.
Yeah.
She's in Iceland right now.
No doubt. She's in Iceland?
Yeah, she and her husband are in Iceland.
Isn't Trump trying to buy Iceland right now? Run away! Wait, is that Greenland? I forget. We're buying everything.
Go to Greenland and turn.
All right. That is Steve's list. Now we have to go to David's list. All right, Dave, let me pull your list up. All right, go ahead, Dave, and talk about your list of 2019 nominees.
Sure. So I looked at this two kind of groups. One is the guest had one segment or multiple segments that I thought were just very good segments on your show. Or two, the guests themselves were such a big name in barbecue, such a big find for you to get them on the show that it showed kind of the respect that your show has within the industry.
All right.
So a couple different subjects there, or I should say Brad Orison and Brooke Lewis from The Shed. I just really liked their banter back and forth. I thought they were a great interview, pretty knowledgeable, obviously. I agree with two of the other gentlemen with Angel Todd. I mean, talk about knowledge and maturity beyond her years. I'm with Doug. I'm like, man, I almost want to cancel the correspondence segment and put it till the next week because I can't follow that. 17-year-old girl, I think? That was just
16.
Unbelievable. 16. Okay.
Cool.
Chris Lilly. I mean, he's won Memphis in May 4 times. He's won
5 times.
I think it's the Royal. Is it 5 now? Yep. Okay, he's won the Royal. He's on TV all over the place. I mean, what a big name. And within the barbecue industry, I think, you know, he's a more popular face than even Michael Simon. Paul Shoddy from Head Country. Just a great interview. Every time the guy comes on, I think he's knowledgeable about the industry, not just from the barbecue standpoint, but, you know, Head Country sauce and products, and he has a restaurant. And then this is kind of a homer pick, but I thought when you just said, "Hey Joe, I want to talk to you about something difficult," I had a guy come into your restaurant and he said it was terrible. He handled that with such professionalism. He just went right to, "Here's how I'm going to handle it. Everyone's got their opinion. It's all good." Man, he handled it so well. I didn't feel quite so bad that you approached him with it. And then one that I didn't put on this list because I wanted to surprise people, and I know this is number 6. How is neighbor Desmond not on the list?
Because he's a horrible interview. That's why.
Well, he knows how to handle you, which has got respect from my book. So that's my nominees.
All right, David Huff from Oklahoma. Now we race out to the Pacific Northwest in parts unknown, and we get Stover's 5 lists. Stover, go ahead with your nominees for the Barbecue Central Show Guest Hall of Fame.
No, I'm in Portland, Greg.
Pacific,
it's not parts unknown.
Parts unknown.
I'm not in the woods.
Well, oh yeah. Have you seen yourself in the mirror?
Yeah.
You are fresh out of the woods, my friend.
Yeah, I'm going for something.
Oh, no doubt.
You're there.
The last time in my life I can let it flow. Let my freak flag fly.
Yes, it is high and stiff.
Well, you know what I did with my disgusting beard just before I got on?
No.
I put a bunch of mousse in it to make it stand out on camera.
Wow. Well, it looks great.
Why isn't Steve looking?
Steve's throwing up. That's why he's not looking.
Okay. Number 1 on the list is something I share with a lot of people here, and that's Malcolm Reed of How to Barbecue Right on the show is great. I love the way he talks about food, and I love the way he explains it. And it's one of my favorites. Everyone seems to be in agreement that Robin Grill Girl has provided a great spark to the show, actually. And ever since she moved to the Boondocks, it's gotten really crazy. Her stories of finding the best iguana recipe, hunting alligators, and all the other stuff that she's been up to is just fantastic.
You're a pretty courageous fellow. Would you be interested in getting your hands on iguana meat and letting it fly on the grill?
Yeah, I would do it. I did sous vide that thing.
Yeah?
I'd do anything with that. Yeah. I'd eat it raw, sashimi.
I don't think you want to do that.
No, what would happen? Legionnaire's disease?
Maybe. At a minimum, Legionnaire's disease. All right, continue.
Okay. Susie Bullock, Hey Girl Hey.
Yeah.
Another standout. She was a first-time guest at the start of the year, and then she came back. Again, I like her recipes. They're really outside the box, of course, but it's fun to hear her talk about them. I'm going to throw an audible, too, because I actually think neighbor Desmond should be on the list. He is not a horrible interview.
He's a horrible
interview. Actually, you know what? This is the guest Hall of Fame, not the interview Hall of Fame, right? So he is a great guest because I'll tell you, there's no time in my life that my wife has ever sparked up at the show except for when Desmond has popped on.
Really?
And I'm serious. Yes, absolutely. Her and my mom.
That's when they tune in the most, is when neighbor Desmond.
Well, they don't. They always have to hear it sometimes when I'm playing it, but yeah, Desmond's great. I mean, when he was sitting in, especially when Briskydorf was in,
yeah,
I mean that was fantastic.
Yeah, he was totally taken aback by Brisky. He still talks about it to this day, like he can't figure out what was going on.
My favorite move is when he would pull out his phone and check his text messages in the middle of the show.
Yeah, people are like, Desmond, is this for real? You should run away and hide. White people are crazy.
And then the white wizard.
Yeah, white wizards are crazy.
Distinction.
Yes, right. Not white people.
And then the last one, I mean, he would never want to be on this list at all, and you probably don't want him on here, but it's Mickey Key from Man is Barbecue.
Who?
Mickey Key from Man is Barbecue.
No, you got that wrong. It's Mikey K from Man Meat Barbecue, Stover. Come on.
Oh, okay. Oh, I must have been reading it. No, okay, yeah, well, I've been saying it wrong all these years.
Give this guy some respect for crying out loud.
He's the guy with the Meat Man hashtag, I think.
Yeah,
real memorable.
Yes, right.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. You don't get much more memorable than that. And if people don't know, they can find the tape on your website.
That's right.
And it's there forever.
It's there forever because it's a nugget of gold. All right, that's Stover. So I think we've covered all the embedded correspondents. Let me give you my 5 here while we're up. Number 1 on the list. This is no specific order, by the way. Robin Lindars, of course. So she's got a number of votes. I also picked. What the hell am I doing here? Let me go back here. Let me change my view so we can go back to the grid. I also opted for Jamie Purviance. He is Weber's cookbook grilling guru. He's a great interview. I always have a thought in my mind that, and he's been coming on the show for years and years. He might be one of the oldest continuing semi-recurring interviews that have been with the show. I always think that he's going to be pretentious or a little stuffy. And then he comes on and he's totally down to earth and easy to talk to and brings a lot of good energy. And he's a totally great interview. But I think so much time goes between interviews with him, I fall back into my old mindset and go, oh, is he going to be, stuffy or what? And he's not. He's great. Totally worth the Hall of Fame. Also, I agree with some of the others. Darren Worth, Iowa Smoky D's. He is easily the winningest man in barbecue. He has won everything but Memphis in May. He actually tried to go to Memphis in May and put in a winning effort this year, although it did not come to his particular hopeful conclusion. But I would imagine that if he didn't give it just one shot and say, well, that's it, I tried it, I'm not going to do it again. If he tries to stick to it, he'll definitely win it here within the next 5 years, and then he will have won literally everything there is to win. Then I also went back into the history books a little bit. I said, why not a little Derek Riches? Everybody remember Derek Riches, right? He showed up once a month, and he was controversial at points. I remember on this show, we broke that huge story that Blue Rhino was ramming it up everybody's butt on the gas exchange where you had a 15-pound propane tank, but legally they were only filling it to 13 or 12 pounds. But they weren't telling anybody about it, and people were wondering, well, I'm going through gas a whole lot quicker. And he dug into it and realized that they were only filling up 13 out of 15 pounds. And then that's why you would hear on this show from time to time I say, if you have someplace where you can bring the propane tank to, have them fill it up directly, because if you can hook up to it, you can go the full 15 pounds. That was his news break. And there was a bunch of other things that Derek and I talked about. And, of course, there is was the breakup of the show because Derek and Meathead had an issue, or there was controversy there between who had the more popular barbecue and grilling website, and him and Meathead started to go back and forth, and Derek decided that he wasn't going to do the show anymore, and that was it. He did make an appearance maybe 2 years ago, maybe it was, and hasn't been on since. More for my lack of reaching out again, but nevertheless, Derek Rich is certainly Hall of Fame worthy, in my opinion. And then, when we talk about guys that burned hot for 5, 6 years, maybe along that, former team of the year, heavily sponsored team, when he came on the show, brought huge ratings each and every time. Rod Gray, Pellet Envy. Can anybody think about this guy? Still a lightning rod as he posts on social media, still gets a whole bunch of comments and replies back when he posts stuff on Facebook. I don't know how much competing he's really doing. I don't think he's really doing any winning because I haven't really heard anything about it, or how much competition events they're actually doing. But at the top of his game, there was nobody better than him. He was doing cooking classes with Johnny Trigg, old school versus high tech. Steve, I don't know if, did you take that class, Steve, at one point?
No.
No? Do you know who Rod Gray is?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure. So he was really kind of a spark that inspired a lot of people to get in and help people learn. So from a Hall of Fame standpoint, a guest, Rod Gray showed up, not a huge amount, but when he did what was it? A brisket or a pork butt round table, and it was Steve Farron. Does anybody remember Steve Farron? He was a all-time great competition cook. Steve Farron, Darren Worth, and Rod Gray made up the panel. They were 1, 2, and 3 KCBS back in 2009, and they sat down and did a no-holds-barred barbecue roundtable competition style, and it was absolutely fantastic. So that's Rod Gray. Now, we have to take a break before we get to announce our 4, and then we will start to talk about who our 5th person will be. So, stick around. Guys, break. I'm going to talk to everybody about Big Papa Smokers. That's our list. How do you like the list? Tell me, you people. React to me. Big Papa Smokers, the one-stop online shop for all things barbecue. They have a curated selection of only the best outdoor cooking and grilling supplies. We'll get you on the path to better barbecue results in no time. Big Papa Smokers has everything you need to become a better outdoor cook. 13 perfectly balanced flavors that transform ordinary meals into extraordinary. Big Papa Smoker's award-winning rubs and seasonings will not disappoint. Pick up a bottle today at bigpapasmokers.com. If you're looking to up the competition game, then you want to check out the West Coast offense. How do you get the West Coast offense? You go to bigpapasmokers.com and order some Simply Marvelous barbecue rub as well. They also own Granny's barbecue sauce. If you're looking for a new go-to sauce that will please everyone, Granny's traditional yet powerful barbecue sauce is one you're going to want to check out. Go to bigpapasmokers.com. Aside from the premium selection of rubs and sauces, Big Papa Smokers also offers the very best charcoal and pellet cookers available on the market today. Check out the Mac 2-star General Pellet Cooker. Big Papa's is the exclusive Mac dealer, and they even offer special packages. Not a fan of pellet smokers? Take a look at the old Hickory Ace BP. It's the only charcoal smoker that Big Papa trusts on his competition trailer. Also, if you have any questions, come on, do this. 877-828-0727. You call them. If you have any questions, they will answer them. You'll feel confident. It's going to be great. 877-828-0727. That's 877-828-0727. Or shop the website at bigpapasmokers.com. That's BIGPOPPA smokers.com. That is the most productive read I have ever done in my life. And you have no idea what I'm talking about. But I will reveal it here in just a second. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central show right here on the Barbecue Central Network. Stick around. I'll be right back.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rampey.
Hey, the Smoke Sheet is a free weekly newsletter that keeps you in the know on everything happening in the barbecue world, including top news, events, recipes, and more, started by Ryan Cooper and Sean Ludwig. Both of them traveling the country to find the best barbecue and then report on it. You can sign up for the newsletter and see the full events at their barbecue calendar by going to bbqnewsletter.com. A great all-in-one resource covering the live fire industry. That's bbqnewsletter.com. All right, boys, we are back at it. We've revealed our top 5 each. But look at this.
A Barbecue Central show exclusive news update.
Down here at the bottom left corner, Stover has shaved. Look at this guy. And you have the, what is that, a handlebar mustache, or what do they call that, Stover?
They call it the Yanni.
The Yanni, yeah, man. Wow, I didn't know people actually tried for that look.
Yeah, I wanted to announce my new podcast, The Worst Barbecue Show, coming soon.
All right. There we go. Worst Barbecue. Here we go.
People think I'm joking, too.
Yeah, but we're not joking, are we? No.
No, I mean, you've heard of this restaurant that used to call it, or does call itself The Worst Barbecue, but it's actually good. That's kind of what I'm going for.
All right.
It's
Sounds
kind of
good.
the opposite of calling yourself good, but you're not actually good, you know?
All right. So let's do this. I am getting ready to reveal the 4 people that are legitimately in for the 2019 Barbecue Central Show Guest Hall of Fame, in no particular order. First name in, Robin Lindars, the Grill Girl. Well deserved. Second name in, and no surprise, through many mentions here during our previous segment, Darren Worth, Iowa's Smokey D's pitmaster and greatest pitmaster of all time. Also in, first Tuesday of the month, guest How to Barbecue Right pitmaster Malcolm Reed, and Killer Hogs, by the way. He is in. And this is where it goes If you were keeping track, it should be no surprise. 16-year-old Angel Todd, the SCA champ from Pittsburgh, cooking at the Hartville Hardware first ever Steak Cook-Off Association. And she made such an impression on our panel and myself that she made the cut and got voted in. However, that leaves one spot open, and we have to have 5. Otherwise, everybody's out, and you got to try again next year. No pressure, guys. So, Steve, give me your argue pick on who should be in.
Pat LaFrieda.
Pat LaFrieda. Do you want to make any further statements on Pat LaFrieda's behalf?
When he came on, he was he's big time. His business is huge. He's a big time guest. He's a big time get for you, and he brought the aged beef discussion to the forefront. He knows more about it than any guest you've ever had on your show, and he just is so interesting, and much more interesting than the other aged beef. You had the big green egg guy from Atlanta on.
Yeah,
he turned out to be a sham. Pat LaFrieda is
sham.
No names.
Wow,
rhymes with.
The Big Green Craig was his name, wasn't it?
You got it.
Rhymes with Big Green Craig.
Hey, he was on the Best Barbecue Show. I interviewed that guy.
All right, task at hand, gentlemen. Task at hand. Go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry.
That's good. I'm good.
All right, Stover, your argue pick.
I'm going to change mine. I was going to argue for Mickey Key because I don't think I was more entertained in that section. Mikey Key.
Mikey K.
Yeah.
K.
Yes. Yeah, Mickey. Yeah, K.
K.
K. Michael K. Mead. Okay. But I think I know this is horrible, but I've already made this segment about myself by shaving my disgusting beard into a disgusting mustache.
Yes.
I'm just going to vote for myself because I recorded that when it was on live, and I brought that to you, and I invented Brisky Door.
What do you mean?
Those two things are pretty strong. I'm going to throw my hat in the ring. Why not? Give it a shot.
I can't include you because you totally just tore down the fourth wall of Briskydorf. You gave that all up. That's terrible. I mean,
if people haven't figured that out by now, they either don't care, and that's fine, or they already have known. Yeah.
Oh my God.
There's no.
That's outrageous. I can't believe you did that. You're banned from the show, Stover. That's it.
They're gonna forget. Don't worry. It's a 2-hour show.
All right, John from Michigan, your argue pick.
My argue pick is Billy Carroll, do-rag.
Wow.
But I'm hoping that we get a chance to revisit once we hear everybody's argue pick. And I kind of alluded to why I think Billy Carroll has an opportunity, but I would like to revisit it before we close out.
Okay. And David Huff.
My argue pick would be Chris Lilly. I think his accomplishments speak for themselves. And the ones that I went back and listened to, the segments were very good.
All right, I am going to argue pick Derek Riches because, again, I felt over the longevity of the show and the content that he brought to the show and the fact that, still to this day, he has a very huge online presence and within the industry. I think a lot of people might be a little put off. He can be a little bristly. I met him in person one time. I have a unique ability to find redeeming qualities about everybody except maybe 2 people that I've ever met in my life, and no names, please. But Derek is a journalist first. Stover, as you know, journalists aren't there to be your buddies. They are there to do a job and report. That could come off bristly or a little abrasive or throw in whatever adjective you like. But I thought Derek is certainly worthy of. So there we go. We have our list of 5 argue picks. Now we have to go through and pick who we think should be in the Hall of Fame. Doug, who should be in?
My argue pick was Kevin Bevington. I think he's laid a lot of the foundation of where we go, where we've been, where you are now. So that would be my pick. I could be potentially talked into Pat LaFrieda or Derek Riches.
All right, that's Doug. All right, so how do we come up with this final person? Do we put it to a vote?
We named 2 each. We named 2 each.
All right, here we go. John from Michigan, 2 each.
2 each.
Yep.
Derek Riches.
Derek Riches, okay.
And Derek Riches.
Really? You're off Billy Carroll?
I'm off Billy Carroll. I mean,
all right.
You got to go. Look, I mean, it's a compelling argument. You're right. I mean, he was on my long list. I've learned just as much from Derek Riches about what I do outside as anybody else on the planet. And he was a great guest for a really long time.
Doug Scheiding.
I'll go Kevin and Derek. Anybody that'll take on Meathead is good. That's good for radio.
All right. Well, Derek gets one more vote, and I think this has mathematically been wrapped up. Stover, your picks?
You know, I'm gonna go with Pat LaFrieda. He was on my short list when I had a much longer one, and I really enjoyed that. So I'm gonna go with him. And I'm gonna have to stick with Desmond. Going back to Desmond, my favorite.
Desmond didn't make the list. It was Pat LaFrieda, you, Billy Carroll, Chris Lilly, Derek Riches, or Kevin Bevington. You have to pick one.
You know, only half I knew, so I'm going to go with Chris Lilly.
Chris Lilly, all right. Steve?
I saw him once across the street, Greg, at a party we were at together.
Oh, I remember. Steve?
Pat LaFrieda and Chris Lilly.
And Chris Lilly. All right. Wow. What now? Oh my God. Wait a second. Oh my God. Here we go. I'm running through all the sound effects. This is very exciting. As we sit right now, gents, Pat LaFrieda has 2 votes. Chris Lilly has 2 votes. Derek Riches has 3 votes. And Kevin Bevington has 1 vote. We turn to who will be the ultimate decision maker at the moment. David Huff. Your votes.
So I already said Chris Lilly. That one's out now, right? So
you can vote. You can vote for him, right? You can still vote for who you choose, right?
Well, yeah, I will make this even more confusing because I was going to say Chris Lilly and Pat LaFrieda. So
really, all right.
There's your
Chris
3-way
Lilly,
tie, Greg. You decide.
Chris Lilly and Pat LaFrieda. So Pat LaFrieda, Stover is out. John, did you want to further argue Billy Carroll at this point, or is it moot?
No, it's moot. I'm sticking with Derek.
Billy Carroll is out. Kevin Bevington is out. We are left with Pat LaFrieda, Chris Lilly, and Derek Riches. It's only one. Boys, I hate to do this. Going in and rounding out the 5 Barbecue Central Show guest 2019 Hall of Fame members is, of course, Derek Riches. There you go. It's the 2019 class. The best guests of the Barbecue Central. Oh, that's so annoying. I think we've done it. So here we go. Let me fill it in so we can put a bookmark on tonight's show. That is Derek. Quickly, let's go around the interview table. Doug, if I reached out to Derek for an interview next week, do you think he would come on the show, yes or no?
I think so. Why not?
Stover, yes or no?
No.
David
you won't
Huff.
see your message for 3 weeks.
David Huff, yes or no?
Yeah, you're Greg Rippey. Hell yeah, you will.
Damn right. Steve Ray, yes or no? What was that?
No.
No. Okay. John, yes or no?
I'd love to see it, but I gotta say no.
Really? Wow. That's a split party. I think he would jump on. Of course he would jump on. You got to be kidding me.
I'd love to see him back on. He's one of my favorite guests ever, actually.
All right, here we go. Your top 5 officially: Robin Lindar's The Grill Girl, Darren Worth, Iowa Smoky D's, Angel Todd, who does not have a team name, but her dad's team name is Coming In Hot Barbecue. The 16-year-old steak cook-off champ in Hartsville Hardware out of Pittsburgh. Malcolm Reed, How to Barbecue Right, and the pitmaster of Killer Hogs competition team, and Derek Riches. That is your 5, the official Barbecue Central Show Guest Hall of Fame for 2019. Congratulations to everybody that is in. Wow, guys, we have done it, and unfortunately, we have taken all of the times that we have. So the good news
I
is...
ate that Subway for nothing?
No, the good news is
Yeah.
we can review our notes next month and make sure that we are just as passionate about Arby's brisket and Subway brisket, or we have to go re-eat and realize the horror that we went through. I can see the excitement in everybody's face. Oh, my God. Most people have already hung up. No. So that's it. Doug Scheiding from Texas, thank you for your help this evening. Stover from Oregon, thank you for your help this evening. David Huff from Oklahoma, thank you for your help. Steve Ray, as always, thank you for your help from Tennessee. And John Solberg, our friend in Michigan, thank you for your help. It is the Embedded Correspondents. There they go. Away they go. Wow. We have a new Barbecue Central Show Guest Hall of Fame. T-shirts are in the printing. And, of course, the ever-popular $1,000 cash prize for all of the recipients. No. None of that. None of that. None of that. Maybe some year I can get somebody to sponsor the Barbecue Central Show Guest Hall of Fame. By the way, John, if you're listening, because I trust you implicitly with this, write down how we did this so we don't forget next year. I can't believe it was already been like a year, maybe a little longer since we did the 2019. Now we got 2 classes under our belt. All right, we will be back to wrap the show right after this. Stick around.
Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. Thanks again to the Embedded Correspondents and Stover for helping me generate what is now the official 2019 Barbecue Central Show Guest Hall of Fame class inductees. Robin Lindars from GrillGirl.com, Darren Worth, Iowa Smoky D's, Angel Todd, competitive steak cook, and 16, 17 years old. Malcolm Reed, How to Barbecue Right, Killer Hogs competition team. Derek Riches from back in the day was about BBQ, and I think DerekRiches.com is his place of business at this point. Or you can find him online. I'm sure somebody will tweet or message him that he has made the Barbecue Central Show Guest Hall of Fame for the class of 2019 and will be very interested in doing a segment with me next week to talk about how great it is. In fact, I'll probably be reaching out to all of these people. Obviously, Malcolm will be in next week anyway, since it'll be the first Tuesday of a brand new month. Robin will be in a couple weeks after that, but Darren Worth, Angel Todd, Derek Riches will probably be coming in here fairly quickly to thank me for voting for the. Derek Riches should be thanking mostly for me, I think. All right, let's wrap it up. All the way back in the first hour, we spoke with George Motz, who I'm going to go out on a limb and say might be in the running for the class of 2020 best guess, but we'll see how that unfolds. GeorgeMotz.com if you want to check him out. At Motzburger on Twitter. Thanks again to my embedded correspondents in the second hour as we got through the Barbecue Hall of Fame guest class for the Barbecue Central Show. That is Doug Scheiding from Texas. That is Steve Ray from Tennessee. That is David Huff from Oklahoma. That is John Solberg from Michigan. That is Stover Harger III from Oregon. And me, Greg Rempe. Great show planned for you next week. September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. Until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.
Hi, this is Jeff Stone of Grandpa's Pride Barbecue from the Panhandle of Florida, and you are listening to the Barbecue Central Show.